Hello, and welcome to this edition of Your Schools. I'm Dr. Christine Mahoney. I am Superintendent of the East Granby Public Schools. And this is a program where we share with you important information about our schools, about our programs, and about some of the initiatives, accomplishments, and achievements of our school district. Today, I am joined by Mrs. Karen Gugel, who is our Director of Student Support Services. Welcome, Karen.
Hi, thank you.
Karen, you and I started out in East Granby at about the same time. I believe we both had an interesting summer that year starting a new position. But for our viewers, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role here in the district?
Yes, I started in the July of 2000 and came from a lab school and was able to really bring the strategies and the services that we looked at in providing in a highly structured therapeutic setting to a public school setting. So with that, since 2000, we have created a number of programs that have really built on the inclusive model in East Granby, thus servicing a greater portion of our students in district versus having to outplace.
So tell us a little bit about the population of students you serve.
Okay. Under Student Support Services, formerly known as Pupil Services, we service students, English language learners. We service students that have 504 plans that I can share a little bit more about. We have students that are on individualized education plans with specific disabilities with a very formalized program working towards achieving goals and objectives and mastery of those goals and objectives. And we also are working very closely with our general ed teachers and departments with at-risk students to close that gap.
Great. So you work with students pre-K through grade 12. Is that correct?
We do. We service students ages 3 through 21. So we begin very early on with our Birth to 3 connection in Child Find with pediatricians and other community resources, either from the town or from neighboring towns, so that we identify early those students who may be at risk and may require some early intervention services. So one of the programs we looked at that we began early on a number of years ago is that East Granby had a family resource center that was originally funded through a grant. We utilized those resources, and rather than outplacing our preschoolers when they turn the age of 3 and they require those early intervention and very specialized services, we developed a preschool program.
Awesome.
That has really grown. That is a beautiful inclusive model. So our children in East Granby start young, learning to recognize differences, and we have found that for both the identified learner and the typical pair, it has proven to really enhance each child's development and their self-esteem and their acceptance of others, and we've seen that through the grades.
That's
so
great.
Our preschool model is integrated. And so we have models for every identified learner, and it is a multidisciplinary team. So we have our special ed teachers, we have general ed teachers, we have our speech and language, our occupational and physical therapists that provide services both within the classroom structure and outside.
And approximately how many students do you currently serve?
We have really a number of, we have close to 25 students that we are servicing. Again, that includes the models.
In the preschool?
In our preschool.
Okay.
And we have varying sessions according to the needs of the student and what their programs would require. And what we found was with this transition, now our preschool teachers are working very closely with the kindergarten teachers, and we're finding as we monitor the students' progress that really about 60% as the since the program's been in existence, are either no longer require specialized services, and about 30% are requiring, less significant intervention during the day and are included more within their school day. And then there's about 10% that we haven't been able to follow through the middle school years because they've either moved.
So you've been able to monitor student growth over time.
We have.
And over time, we have seen tremendous progress. Some of the students moving into the upper grades with significant skills that they have
Absolutely.
acquired or learned as compensatory skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And our feedback from the kindergarten teachers has been very positive because the students are, our mission is between Family Resource Center and the preschool that every child has a preschool experience. And the kindergarten teachers are seeing the benefits of that, and we're seeing on our kindergarten readiness survey that we complete for the state that we have very high standards, and the students are meeting them.
Great. So you have over 100 students altogether in the district. What are the goals of your program? What is the primary goal of the Student Support Services area?
Well, we want every student to reach their potential, and we want them to also be able to achieve at a high standard. So because East Granby, and we are very proud of this, is a fully inclusive district, our students are in the mainstream, and we provide supports for them to be successful. So they are presented with the rigorous curriculum, and our goal is to help them meet those requirements with the least amount of support is necessary in order for them to be successful. We want them to be independent learners, we want them to be socially engaged, and we want them to be part of the community and be an active citizen as well.
And that's so important for the student to feel a part of the community as a learner. And we've looked at our student performance results, and we've seen our overall performance data, and our performance data tells us that we're doing extremely well, which speaks volumes, I think, given that you're using the models that you are using and that we're fully inclusive. It really does mean that our students with special needs are actually performing at higher levels. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Right.
And we even while we only had the CMTs and the CAP scores in science, 90% of our students, identified learners, performed proficient or higher.
That's wonderful.
Speaks volumes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So you talked about the preschool and the Family Resource Center and our students who are kindergarten through grade 12. Can you talk a little bit about the students who are in the age 18 to 21 program, and what are the goals of that particular program?
We have students, and I should share as well, East Granby is also very proud. We established a life skills program in our middle and high school, and we also have some of our 5th grade students attend as well. And it really looks at authentic experiences in developing more functional skills on community experiences and being successful. So we have students that are involved and participate in our life skills program in the middle and high school age. So while they're still included within the general ed curriculum, they also have a coursework, and there are community experiences that go along with that they're able to practice those skills. And for some students that continue and require some additional work so that they do meet their goals, we do have post-secondary programs that really focus more on students being successful in the community or developing career awareness and independent living skills, and they need some additional support in that transition from school to work.
So it's a nice continuum from life skills, which probably started in the middle school for the students, and then continued all the way through.
Exactly. And even within that program, we do have some model students, and in a life skills program that we offer in the summer, we have model students that also attend.
Okay.
So that our programs are even integrated at that point. And the important thing is that for all our students, we're looking at their long-term goals, and they participate in their meetings, and we develop a plan. So it addresses whether their plan is to go out in the workforce, whether it's to perhaps, because more and more colleges have programs for students that have disabilities, whether it's working with our guidance counselors in researching those programs and helping to look at what support and what accommodations they might need. At that point, we're really involving the learner in that partnership with families.
And the students who transition to colleges, whether it's a 2-year college or a 4-year college, the guidance counselors are able to work with the college admissions offices to assist those students with the transitioning. So the colleges also can make accommodations for the students.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely, under what we call a 504 plan.
Awesome, awesome. So you have just described some tremendously effective programs and service models in our public schools in East Granby. Tell us a little bit about how these programs are funded, because they sound very unique. We know they're successful based on our data. Tell us a little bit about how these programs are funded.
Well, our department works very collaboratively, extremely collaboratively, and we're very proud of the partnerships that we have with our general ed teachers, with community resources. So we do pull from those resources and from our operating budget. Many of our staff in our department have varying roles in assisting students. In addition to those funding sources, we also receive dollars through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And that's
the federal
entitlement grants that we can't use to supplant, but we can use to supplement. And that's often ways that we've created, or if additional resources were needed for students, use those fundings. We receive dollars for our population that's really through the kindergarten through 12th, as well as we have limited dollars under our preschool, which really, is under 1,000, but that we use to support our preschool.
And state funding, can you tell us a little bit about the state funding and how that is applied?
In looking at our state funding and how we utilize our state funding, we may use it to secure specialized materials for our English language learners. We also are given some dollars that we use for consortium for training or additional resources. In our preschool, we use the state and federal dollars. We offer parent workshops at all levels, so we use our dollars that way as well. We also, through when we are students that we identify that really are require very specialized programs that may go over our excess costs. We also do submit those costs for reimbursement for the excess costs that is distributed to the town.
Good, good. So I would imagine, and we know that there are some students whose needs are pretty complex, quite extensive, and as a small district, we do not necessarily have all of the resources and all of the specialized staff that we need. So in those cases, we find ourselves having to work through the planning and placement team process and working very closely with parents and service providers, and we've actually had to place some students out of district. So tell us what that entails in terms of making sure that the student's program is appropriate, making sure there's transportation. You know, how do you work all of those entities to meet the students' needs.
And it is a process, and we often, there are times that students move into our district, and those programs are established already for a student, and a student is attending. So we always look at the least restrictive environment, so we may assess whether we can program for that student. But if we feel that outplacement when that student moves into our district is still appropriate, then that's something that we do provide for continuity of services, and meet and say that we agree to continue that placement. We're always looking to have students return to our district, and we always ask that question. We meet in our planning and placement team meetings, but that decision is made after we've, again, as you shared, we've gone through our resources and we've tried different strategies, and we felt that the outplacement was the most appropriate. And with that, depending upon the program, there can be very high costs with those services, and they can really range even as high as $160,000, $170,000 for some of the programs that are very specialized. And when students are placed in other programs that are outside of our district, we also incur any of the service costs as well as any transportation costs that go along with transporting that student to that program.
Right, and we do not determine the cost of the program.
That's right.
Or the actual placement if someone is being sent to East Granby. Those decisions, more often than not, are made prior to the student even coming to East Granby.
The cost of the program, right. It's a partnership and collaboration when we work with parents and the team that has worked with the student when we look at what placement would be most appropriate. But then at that point, there are contracts that those programs provide to us with their established costs. Okay. We try whenever we can. We are very fortunate in the Farmington Valley area that from our special education departments, we collaborate as often as we can. So often we do try to, when it's appropriate and we can link transportation. Good. So that it's a benefit to all the towns.
So along those lines, Karen, can you share with us some of the other ways that you work with your colleagues in other communities to collaborate, to take advantage of any efficiencies that are there, or collaborate to provide services for students, and maybe even opportunities for faculties to get together? So can you just share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We are, as I shared earlier, very fortunate, and I feel very lucky to be, there is a wonderful group of special education directors and highly skilled in this area. And we try to meet once a month to explore issues that may be coming up or different mandates that we may have to be establishing programs or services or models within our district that we try to coordinate our efforts. So over the years, besides having the wonderful collegial opportunity, we have developed programs to support students that needed more of a therapeutic setting for a short period of time with the goal of them returning to program. We have, as I shared, coordinated and shared transportation. We've done a number of professional development opportunities that we have all needed in our districts, but we've been able to secure and share funding sources to make that happen for a larger number of people. We've also, for our parents, we've built in many parent workshops and professional opportunities so that because we're small districts, that we can have wonderful resources and different agencies come. We've done transition fairs and had all the towns participate. We've done workshops for parents on behavior management, on autism, on the differences between 504 and individualized education plans. So we try to offer those amongst our Farmington Valley, so that they're easy for parents and staff to get to.
Right, right. You know, I think you also shared at some point that your Farmington Valley group also hold workshops for physicians. Can you say some more about that?
Yes, we have. We've been trying, to collaborate with the pediatricians in the area, so that they're also there's an understanding more of the services that the school systems from an educational milieu versus a medical setting.
Right.
So we've done collaborative efforts and established. There have been brochures that have been developed on 504, so that there's an understanding of when recommendations are made, or what constitutes a health impairment, or why a student may be out for long term, so that there's an awareness between the medical model and the educational. And we've also done that also more with mental health providers, so that there are shared resources and an understanding of the different disciplines and how we can best support our struggling learners.
Okay. Now, I know that you do work with our local preschool providers who are outside of the public school system, and you often meet with them. Are they also included in some of your workshops and some of the information you provide for parents?
With our preschools that are within our East Granby boundaries, I do serve, and we meet whenever there's a concern that they may have on a student, that they may be looking for just some suggestions or would like an observation with some input, or there are times that we may move forward with family and that preschool and say that we need to move forward for an evaluation or to get more information. So we do collaborate. They are also invited when we do have our professional development opportunities, and we feel that it would be appropriate with our early childhood, so that there's strong teaming there, and their staff have come and participated in our programs. And we do try to share our evening parent workshops that we offer. We really disseminate the information to make sure that their families are also aware. And then we do plan, when the students from the preschools are going to be transitioning into our district, we do plan and collaborate and have a chance for some of the students to come over and the families, and for the teams to meet as well. So our preschool team, our special education teachers, our speech and language pathologists, the occupational physical therapists are often requested with parent permission to come over and to give some input. So there is very strong collaboration with our community preschools.
And that's very important, because they feed into our system.
Absolutely.
95, maybe even 100% of the time. So that's important.
And we do try to work, because again, our mission being that every preschooler have a chance to attend school prior to coming to kindergarten, that we often work. We have our registration for our preschool in late January, and we often have a wait list, so we network with our community preschools to ensure that we can have those students that perhaps are on a waiting list in our program or theirs, that we can meet those needs.
Awesome.
And that way we're also aware through Child Find of the families that are out there that may need some assistance.
Good. So you've just described a wonderful program, many facets of the program, and those parts that are working so very well. Tell us what it is that you are most proud of.
Most proud of. I have to say, I am most proud of the team I work with. They are really a very hard-working, dedicated group of individuals that come from very different disciplines and really work together to meet the best interest of every student within East Granby. And all the way from, we have a parent liaison in our family resource and preschool program that brings information from home visits, through those that do assessments, to some that go out to homes or provide tutoring, that really think out of the box and how we can best service. And we have specialized programs that's been created, and as I said earlier, really in addition to providing the specialized instruction, are going out and getting additional training so that we can do the specialized reading programs at the elementary level, and then that we can have that continuity at the middle school.
Good,
and and as our population grows and changes, our teams are meeting those needs. So
Awesome. Well, Karen, thank you so much for sharing with us in this edition of Your Schools. And to our viewers at home, thank you very much for joining us. And please do feel free to contact us if you happen to have a student who has special needs. Mrs. Gugel is prepared with her team to help you meet your child's needs at home, and for you to help us meet your child's needs here in our public schools. Thank you very much.